action.
What floor are you going to?
Oh, 3, please.
Okay, great. Hey, I'm sorry. I couldn't help but notice that your kid really, really wants that Lego set. What if we told you we created an ecosystem called Penny that would stop these things from happening in store?
As a parent, I know how hard it is to say no to your kids, especially when you want to teach them about the value of money and also instill really good money habits for them as they grow up. But beyond a piggy bank in their bedroom and a reward chart up on the wall in the kitchen, how do you do it?
That meltdown your kid just had, imagine turning that emotional moment into a teaching moment. You could give them your phone and have them take a picture of a toy that they want, setting a goal in Penny. And because we know that you shop in stores often with your kids, you're going to have a lot of pivotal moments. And now you can say something other than yes or no.
And it's so Penny, the system isn't just an iPhone. I've heard that it's also an ebook, which tells stories to your kid, and also a physical toy, which means you can watch Penny in your home as well as in the store and in your bedrooms. But what's so great about this ubiquitous system is that it really creates opportunities to talk about saving and setting goals and earning, getting this toy without it being about yes or no. And rumor has it, Penny's really lofty goal is to reshape the economy one kid at a time.
Q&A.
What age group are you aiming for? 6 to 11-year-olds.
So the kid kind of knows like anything if he wants, and then let me know.
Yeah, so you can either take a picture at the store, or you can actually search for the toy, and images will pop up and you can select it.
Yeah, you'll have a conversation with your kid to set a goal. You said it's more than just saying yes or no. What do you mean?
So it starts a dialogue. So it could say, hey, okay, take a picture of a toy. Let's talk about this when we get in the car. Let's talk about this when we get home.
And kids change their mind so much. So instead of saying, no, you can't have that Lego, yes, you can have that Lego, it's, well, what do you really want? And you've got $20 to spend, so what's your best option?
Does the interface speaks more to him or to me as a parent, or he as it's not sure?
It's really both, because it could be instantaneous for the kid to either take a picture or say, okay, this is my goal, or for the parent to sit down with kid and say, we're going to set a goal long term, and also let's check the status of what you want.
What happens when you reach the goal? It resets.
The app would celebrate this magical moment with you, and then it'll give you encouragement and be excited for you,
And then we go and purchase.
yeah, and then you and your child.
And likely there'll be something else that they want, so the cycle starts again.
So they change their mind so quickly, but they can kind of go to the.
Yep.
Okay,
What's
time.
really great, since you guys are so interested in this, we'd love to take you into our offices and tell you a little bit more about Penny.
That sounds great.
And it happens to be right next door. Great. Hi, everybody. We're Penny. We're Alex, Ronnie, Liz, and I'm Cielo, and we're going to talk to you about the work that we did between R2 and today. But before we do this, we want to tell you a little bit more about Penny. So Penny is a system that facilitates meaningful conversations between families about finance. But ultimately, what this is doing is allowing parents to say something other than yes or no, while simultaneously teaching children about money. So we've obviously pivoted since you last saw us. We went back and looked at our research and insights, and 3 things really rose up to the top. So the first is parents tend to be financial role models for children. Second is mom is the CFO of the family. And third, even amongst people that know a bit about finance, they'll be the first to acknowledge that they don't know enough. So we took all of this information, sort of consolidated it together, and what we realized is that our opportunity was addressing kids, addressing them in the learning process. So the other thing that we learned is that this isn't real. This is not reality. There's a really visceral moment that happens in store when a kid basically expresses their desire to acquire something and the parent has to react. And this is one of the spaces where Penny comes into action. So in taking a couple of steps back, we had to take a look at where Penny could exist. So where we're focusing is in the iOS platform. So we know that that currently encompasses 40% of the market, but more importantly, 70% of moms prefer the iOS system. What we like about the iPhone is it's not only ubiquitous, but it's also immediate. So there's a really quick response time where mom can pull out her iPhone and give it to the kid. Our next, in the near future, what we're looking at is an iPad app, because what we like is the real estate. We're going to be able to tell a really nice story in addition to the goal-setting application. And then third is a further out future opportunity is the physical penny that can live in the home. You can put it in your bedroom, you can put it in the kitchen.
Here we want to give you a glimpse of Penny, and specifically giving you a specific use case scenario. So me and my daughter went to see this movie Frozen, and she loves Elsa. She wouldn't stop talking about her. And I know that when we go to Target, she's going to be crying and going on and on and on about getting that Elsa doll, and I would have to say no to her. So we turn to Penny, and we have a great chat in setting Elsa the doll as her goal. We opened up Penny, and we were immediately greeted with a wonderful hello. And we set about to add Elsa the doll as her goal. Since we're at home, we're just going to go through the search mode. And I will enter Elsa the doll into my search. And it immediately generates 3 photos and the price from Google Shop. And my daughter gets to choose one of the icons for her Elsa doll goal. Once we hit done, that's where the magic begins. My daughter sees Penny sitting there thinking about her goal, thinking about her dream Elsa. And as time goes by and pennies are saved, Penny grows with my daughter's dreams. And what's amazing is that once my daughter reaches her goal, Penny celebrates this magical moment with her with excitement and encouragement. And Penny not only teaches my daughter the good habit of saving towards a goal, but I don't have to say no to my daughter.
The ecosystem of Penny exists more broadly than just the iPhone. So as we've mentioned, it starts with the parent and the kid between the ages 6 through 11. Parents have access to Penny through either the iTunes store or a retail location, which will happen when we start to sell Penny in the future. On the iTunes store, they can access Penny through either the iPhone app or the iPad app. And retail, of course, they can purchase the toy, something similar at this point to the Sophie the Giraffe. What's great about all 3 of these different touch points is that it exists not only in the home when you're setting and talking and seeing things on TV, but also in the store when that visceral moment of the breakdown of I want this right now happens. So Penny will see revenue actualized through iTunes store purchases as well as Google referrals. And in the future, what we're hoping is that we can partner Penny with different platforms and companies like Target and Amazon to more specifically reach parents and kids, as well as licensing opportunities. And then in the future, what we'd love is to really integrate Penny perhaps into the educational system or with banks and really blow Penny out into this whole beginning to end, growing with the parent and the kid as they're learning to save and earn. Well, where money comes in, money must also go out. So the 30% fee from iTunes as well as API and AWS services.
So we take a look at some key features of our business model. We start with the product market fit. And essentially what we're offering is a financial education ecosystem for parents and guardians with kids, as we've mentioned, between the ages of 6 and 11. And some of the key activities would be building the relationships between Penny and the child and Penny and the parent, so that Penny is not just a one use or for one case. And of course, continuing the platform development and growing Penny, and looking at different innovative financial education methods. And our revenue streams, of course, as Liz mentioned, through app downloads and also in-app purchases, and through the Google referrals, the search functionality. And looking a little bit deeper into our top line revenue, we've priced the app competitively at $4.99. And we've also, our research has shown that in-app purchases total about $2.43. So we're looking at about $7.40 per user, and we've sectioned off 1/4 of 1% of the market, which would give us total revenue of just over $1.3 million.
So where do we go from here? There are 4 key milestones and steps that we need to take as a team. The first is to continue to build our wireframe so that Penny can come to life in the most immediate future through the iPhone. The second is we will continue to prototype with users. So we will continue to give the wireframes and the experience to parents and kids to see what's working, what's not, what needs to change, what needs to go away. Third, we will be creating a more holistic experience of Penny. This may mean a slight redesign so that Penny feels the same not only on the iPhone, but through the ebook app and opportunity that we're working on, as well as physical Penny and sketches for that. And then fourth, our go-to-market strategy, which really begins to blow out what it looks like not only in the immediate future with the launch of the iPad or the iPhone, but then what the next 4 years will look like in terms of revenue and then cost. Thank you.
Great, perfect. Okay, now we have 8 minutes. Q&A.
I'll start.
Great.
So can you, I didn't quite understand how you guys came to the insight that taking a picture at, the store with the kid to kind of balance out their desire for this actually works.
So what we did is we spent a bit of time in Target and went to toy stores, and we interviewed a lot of parents. And there's literally a microsecond between when a kid asks for something and there's a complete breakdown. And the mom is always aware when it's about to happen, but she never has a resource. So what generally happens is mom will introduce a distraction, but it only addresses the issue in the moment, but it doesn't address the broader issue of you maybe distracted me, but I still want this thing.
Well, how does this do that differently though? I mean,
It
so you
helps
let the
acknowledge.
kid, the kid took a picture. I mean, did you test this out yet? I'm just curious. Like, I'm just thinking like a 6-year-old
Yeah.
still not being satisfied
So it's
by
not just
being
about
let take a
taking.
picture with mom's iPhone.
Yeah, I mean the hope is that you don't just take the picture, but then you add it to Penny. So it's like, okay, we're gonna save this goal, so it's not no now. It's for the future.
Okay. So that's something
Yeah.
we need to test more and really
Yep.
kind of get out there.
Sort of jumping off of that, I'm curious about what kind of insights you found around, like, okay, the kid has an meltdown in the store, but then they leave the store and forget about the product that they wanted, and so this might actually encourage them to keep thinking about it, and is that desirable?
Part of goal setting and delayed gratification is acknowledging that there is something that you want and kind of reminding you about it. Like you said you wanted this thing, maybe you don't want it anymore. Kids are pretty fickle. So the system actually will, if the kid changes their mind, they can go in and change the thing that they're saving towards. So it depends on the kids. Some kids are super laser focused about what they want, and that's all that they want. And then there's other kids that are like, I want this, and then I want this, and then I want this. So it can kind of have functionality for both types of kid dispositions.
What have you guys thought about, I get a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I've been in Target and I've witnessed this happen, pretty good, but we do our damnedest to kind of keep his eyes off screens.
Yeah.
And my daughter too, actually. But how, kind of, I think it's more of the Penny ecosystem of other things you're creating, but how do you create moments where they're learning about this? Is it activities that you can do as a mom, as a dad with them where they're not on screen? Like how can you create those moments where it's mom just kind of taking stock of them and it's more of a check-in versus going and doing it, building something, right? Because you got me on the delayed gratification. Like that's critical to growth. But how do you keep them out of the screen and not always wanting to kind of check?
That's why we really are trying to cling to physical Penny as why we think that's so important to the overall ecosystem. We're not quite sure what, I mentioned Sophie the giraffe, but we're not quite sure what Penny the pig looks like.
Right.
Screen time is something we're really sensitive with, and then you introduce COPA, and that's a in the world. But I don't know, I don't know, yeah.
It's an issue, and we've been talking with parents. We talked to a mom about screen time, and she tends to be a little bit more flexible when it's educational screen time. So we realize, though, that there is a sensitivity, and we want to address it. But like Liz said, the physical pig that would live in your home, or whatever Penny winds up being, would be the visual cue to remind you about the introduction of screen time.
And the ebook is also educational, so we're in the process of writing it. So it's like Penny goes on an adventure with Felix the fox, and they're saving, and they're talking about giving money away, and then that story grows, and so Penny becomes very endearing, that hopefully is like a household name in some ways.
Right. I would encourage you to, because ebook, great,
Yep.
and the more they can engage with it, play with it, I'm
Yeah.
all for that. But I would encourage you to look at, like, the way you're setting up Penny right now is
Yeah.
that's another toy in the home.
Okay.
So here's another toy that
Yeah.
versus how can you have these moments that are kind of building the education, and that a lot of games right now are going to that, like, half within the mobile experience, half in the real world, and you have to
Yeah.
check in through GPS and do something like, what physical things
interesting.
could they be doing in exercises
It
that
might be interesting to even do that in store. Yeah. Like you have the iPhone prompt like a scavenger hunt in the store that also would engage the kid and keep their mind
Right.
occupied.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About kind of the UI, the flow that we showed. It seems like it goes from a very simple and kid-friendly UI, and then once you actually start getting into searching for the product, it becomes very text-based. I'm wondering if that flow is more for the parent or if it's more for the kid. Where does the burden of that task fall? Is it either one?
Well, in order to avoid the COPA of having the kids doing the search, and doing the search is really the parent that's doing it, but taking pictures is where the parent can give the phone to the child, and the child can take pictures in the store or at their best friend's house or something. And so that's where the kid-friendly is at, but there's definitely an aspect of the app that's for parents to use.
Do you want to? Actually, so could you say a little bit more about how you create awareness and demand? Because, I mean, it's not going to happen at the point of the tantrum. So you have to have gotten somebody excited about this earlier. And then you've created potentially friction around a $5, $4.99 price point. So, I mean, have you thought a little bit about how people become aware of Penny?
Well, we've talked to our advisor, and she's a former regulator and banker. She also has a 5-year-old. She talked a lot about reading sort of mommy blogs and these websites where you can go and you can find what the best apps are.
But they're cluttered spaces. I mean, it's hard to get above the noise level in the mommy blog space.
Well, there's also a way for us to kind of go in. There's newsletters that go out within schools and to parents that we realize is another area for us to sort of get involved in the educational aspect that Sarah also mentioned as another potential avenue for us.
So I'm sorry, we're getting almost out of time. But a couple of comments about the presentation. I thought the elevator pitch was really flat, and it needs to be like pop, right? And that's going to be venture night, second pitch of the day is going to be that. And so you get to bring that up, and it would focus a lot on the product. And I was kind of getting worried because you spent half of this presentation almost on the product. And it kind of like, you need to distill the product out quicker, faster, and then get to the punch. Like, that your audience is investors. They want to like make money. You're talking to somebody who wants to make money. So you got to get to how you're going to make money quicker. Okay? In that elevator pitch scenario. And then the other thing I would say, you need to talk to 25 parents and kids between now and R4. And walk them through this. Deep dive into that world, understand the thing that Sean brought up about what happens at the tantrum moment, what Tim was talking about, the journey of the education. You need to like figure this product out because I think there's lots of holes in it, and so that's going to help you. It's like really getting immersed in that empathetic experience of working with parents and kids.
And Bill, just to build on that, I mean, what an investor will want to hear about this isn't necessarily the monetization story, it's the story about how do you get to 1 million parents.
Yeah, scale.
They want to hear about scale. They want to hear your path to 100,000, 1 million, really rapid growth. Monetization is a second order bit here.
Yeah. Okay, but otherwise, this presentation was great. Thank you.